Hi, I'm hoping this works. I'm very old to have technology, so I'm hoping that this is actually working. Yeah, Lisa, I think I've got it. Hopefully I am live on Parents Unite right now. Hi, I'm Lindsay Denham, and I am an emotional support specialist, and I use BACH FLOWER REMEDIES mainly in my practice to help my clients feel better. I'm all about the emotions. I'm also a Reiki master teacher and adult and children meditation teacher, but I haven't actually done that in the last 5 years since I came to Canada. So that's one of my Scottish hats. You'll hear by my accent that I am from Scotland, but this is my second time living in Canada. The first time was in the 80s when I started off as a nanny and then transitioned into my career of nursing. So my background is that I was a nurse for 26 years, a registered nurse, mainly in paediatrics and neonatal intensive care. So I have lots of experience in supporting families emotionally. It was what I loved about the job, more than the excitement of IVs and taking bloods. I loved the family support side of things. So that's what I do. That's my kind of career in a nutshell. I did write myself a list of questions because I know that I can go off on a tangent when it comes to BACH FLOWER REMEDIES. I teach the level 1 BACH course, and I can speak for 2 days quite easily on the BACH FLOWER REMEDIES. So I thought I'll give myself some questions as if I'm being interviewed so that I can keep this on track, because I only have 26 minutes left. So, who's Lindsay Denham was my first question to myself, and I have told you that. My background with the BACH FLOWER REMEDIES might interest you because this talk is for parents and perhaps for children, well, for using the remedies with children. And my own history is that I didn't plan to have a family. After my 2 years as a nanny, I decided that I was... Good morning, everybody. I can't do the good morning and the talking at the same time, so I'm just gonna wave. So yes, I was a nanny for 2 years, and after those 2 years, despite the fact that they were 4 wonderful kids, I decided I didn't want any kids because they were just a big responsibility. I thought, I can't do that, you know, so I chose that I was not having any children. But the universe knew better, gave me my first child, my son, in '92, and he was born in Vancouver. So we didn't have any family in Canada, and we moved back to Scotland and raised our family there. So that was in '92. So for me, I was 30 when I had my son, and I had no coping mechanisms to be a mother. I had not dealt with any of my mental health issues because I ignored them completely, and probably wasn't even aware that I had them. I just thought I was who I was, and anytime there was a problem, I would just run. You know, I would run away, which is why I ended up in Canada. So I didn't have any coping mechanisms. So when my son was born, I remember the 2 thoughts that came in. One was, I don't want to raise him in the same way that I was raised. And 2, I did not want him to be like me. So then I had to look at what was wrong with the way I was parented, and 2, what was wrong with me that I did not want my son to be like me. So those were instantly, those 2 huge questions came into my life. And over the next decade, I battled by myself to try to deal with these thoughts in my head, very unsuccessfully. So over those 10 years, probably in the sort of second 5, I had several surgeries and 3 rounds of antidepressants. And that was basically because my mental health, my emotional health was bad. And I thought everything had to be a pill or a surgery, and the doctor had to fix me. And my friend had used BACH FLOWER REMEDIES for many years, and I had laughed at her for many years because, as if that was going to work, you know, the energy of plants. So laughing at her, she was the person who I broke down with when my 3rd round of antidepressants didn't agree with me. And she made me promise to go see her BACH practitioner, which I did the very next day, and the rest is history. So for 18 years, I haven't had a surgery, I haven't had an antidepressant, and I manage my emotional health which deals with my physical and mental health, and by using the BACH FLOWER Remedies. So that's why I'm here today. I'm not here as a sales pitch to tell you, come to me as a client, come to me as a student. I'm here to tell you that in parenthood, the BACH FLOWER Remedies have made my life easier, doable. I think I would probably have been institutionalised had I not come to them, because my emotional health was so out of balance that I'm still, at my age now, 18 years later, so I'm now 58, so I'm still not at the very centre of all those issues that I stuffed in from the age of 6, okay? So the BACH FLOWER Remedies, that's me. That's probably too long on me, but anyway, how did I discover the BACH FLOWER Remedies? I've just told you that. My friend Alison had used them for those years, and she was the one who saved my life, I think. And my youngest daughter is actually called Alison, and I wonder now that that's why, because it's a constant reminder to me of how my life pivoted at 18 years ago through Alison's help. So what are the BACH FLOWER Remedies? That's important. They are basically, well, not basically, but they are the energy of plants and trees. And one is made from spring water, from a forgotten spring. But mainly plants and trees, but the energy of them. There's no particulates of the, the plant or the tree in the remedies. It's just the energy of those plants. And that sounds a bit bonkers, which is why I laughed at Alison for all those years. But having used them for 18 years now, I totally am on this energetic journey with them. And, I think they opened me up over the years as well to trying other things that are energy-based, like meditation and indeed Reiki. I went into training with Reiki as well, so I am very much an energy practitioner. Who discovered the remedies? Dr. Edward Bach discovered them in the late 1920s and early 1930s. And I believe that if we had had social media then, if technology had been back then, the whole world would know about Bach remedies now. And they would be using them, because Dr. Bach's wish was that every family would have a box of remedies in the cupboard, and that when they were hungry they would go to the garden and pick a lettuce, and when they were scared they would go to the cupboard and they would take some mimulus, which is for known fear. So he believed that if we could keep our emotions balanced, that we wouldn't have to get sick, that we wouldn't have to feel dis-ease. Okay, so it sounds like a very big, simple thing, but for me, over the last 18 years, I have taken responsibility for my own health. And I think that when you reach the point where you see that you're responsible for your own health, you look for ways to look after it. So for me, I look after it through the BACH FLOWER Remedies. And they work by, which is my next question, how do they work? They work by flooding the negative emotion with its positive opposite vibration and bringing it up to balance. So the remedies don't put in an emotion that's not there. So if you are scared, okay, you're experiencing fear, the remedy doesn't give you courage. What it does is it floods that fear with the positive opposite vibration, and it brings your courage, which is hidden, up to balance. It's like in there. It's not that the remedy is giving you courage. The remedy is just bringing your natural courage that you have in there up to balance, up to the surface, so that you can do what it is that you want to do in your life that you're scared of. So I hope that this is very simplistic, because I only have a half hour. So my next question is, how can they help make family life easier? Oh, in all ways. Okay, so my kids are now 28, 26 and 21. So from that you know that they were all teenagers at the same time. So the two reasons that I did my training, like fully, when I saw a practitioner for 9 months, and then I did the training, the level 1 training, and I knew that I wanted to transition out of nursing and into holistic practice fairly quickly. So my two things that I wanted to do when I became a practitioner were to get into the National Health Service to help the nurses, which I did, and to survive adolescence of my kids, and I did. So So that's my own testimonial to the remedies. My husband's testimonial to the remedies would be that he had a new wife the first month that I was using them, and he said, please don't let the old one come back. So that's his testimonial to the remedies, and mine is that we got through adulthood with lots of my friends complaining about their teenagers, but I had these 3 great kids. Now, they might have been great anyway, but I was on remedies, they were using remedies, and they were going through adolescence, I was going through menopause, and that's just like this big melting emotional pot. Okay, so it just is. And since I went through it as easily as I did, I love to help other women who are in the same situation. It is that thing where lots of us have to go through menopause at the same time as our kids are teenagers. So, they're trying to pull away, and we're trying to hang on, and, feeling like, what will we do if they leave me? But, take it from me, I have been in those negative emotions about, worrying about my children leaving. I used to, every year when my son would have a birthday, he was one step closer to leaving me, and that was like, his birthday was always tough for me. But he got on a plane when he was 18 years old to come live in Canada, and whilst I cried on the way back to the car, my heart was not broken. I was just really proud of him and happy that he was going off on this big adventure for himself. So that's what the remedies did for me. They balanced out that negative neediness of me as a mother of my children. So in family, they can make all areas of family life easier. Any area where somebody's angry, somebody's feeling sorry for themselves, life's unfair, whether it's between, the parents themselves, because I know that the remedies have helped me, even fairly recently, last year, to stay married. That's basically it. And I know that during, what's going on just now with lockdown, there's lots of couples are spending so much more time together than they normally do, and that is probably bringing up lots of emotions that maybe were hidden before or that didn't exist before. So this is a very particular time in the world's history where the remedies can definitely come into family life and make it feel easier. Parents are homeschooling, or they have been. I don't think the schools are on holiday yet, but they're definitely not going back till September 15th. So for me, I used remedies for patience, I used remedies for tolerance, I used remedies for feeling overwhelmed, I used remedies for feeling sorry for myself, I used remedies for not being able to say no when I wanted to say no, and then I would end up resentful because I'd said yes, and I would blame the person, but it was my fault because I hadn't said yes. And then meanwhile the world thought I had everything sus because I had a brave smiley face on. So there's remedies for all those emotions. There's remedies for tiredness, exhaustion, indecision. There's 38 different remedies that can help family life feel easier. Children and parents have the same emotions. The situations for having those emotions may be different, but the emotions are the same. Okay, so the emotions are emotions. The emotions that Dr. BACH discovered the remedies for 90 years ago are the same emotions that we are having now. Our lifestyle is different, the world is different, but the emotions, the human emotions, are still the same as they were millennia ago. Next, where can I get them? Where can I get the remedies? Whole Foods. Whole Foods sell the full range of remedies. They have little booklets, like a little, what do I have on here? They have little card leaflet things. They have the full range of remedies, and the remedies look like this, just in case you're wondering what they look like. This is a remedy. This is a remedy Centauri, which is for those who find it really difficult to say no. They always put everyone else's feelings before their own. They're like the Cinderellas of the world. They're always doing for others, and they neglect themselves. So Centauri helps you to nudge your way up to be number one on your list, because if you're number one on your list, then you're fit and healthy enough to look after everybody else. So Centauri I have used lots in the 18 years that I've used remedies, and I love this remedy because it helps you to do what you want to do rather than feeling that you have to make life easier for someone else whilst making yours more difficult. So this is what the remedy bottle will look like if you went to Whole Foods to buy it. There's 38 of them for 38 different emotions. And as a practitioner, I mix up people's unique blends, up to 7 remedies, different remedies that they need in a situation. And they take one. It's very simple. I put 2 drops of each of the remedies that they choose into one of these bigger bottles, and you can see this is mine. And I fill it up with water, and then they take 4 drops 4 times a day. So you can re-watch this if you forget what to do. But 4 drops of this bottle 4 times a day is the balancing. It's your kind of dose. And this, you only put 2 drops of this into that and fill it with water and use this. Okay? So, but you can use this one neat. 2 drops of this neat into a cup of tea or a glass of water, or indeed on your tongue. It is made up in brandy, so if you put it on your tongue, you will get that little kick. But sometimes I do that, especially if it's like a really strong emotion that comes in. I tend to go from love to hate in a nanosecond. So I know that the remedy holly really helps me, and I go away, like I remove myself from the situation where I have been triggered, and I go and I take my holly and I take 2 drops on my tongue. I wander around, get myself away from whoever it is that I've sparked my emotion at, and take another couple of drops, usually a couple of doses, and I can go back and I'm perfectly loving to that person, and I look for the hatred in my head and it's gone. So they're amazing. So that's where you can buy them. Whole Foods, Amazon sells them. I do not sell the individual remedies, so you can find them in Amazon and Whole Foods in Canada. And if you happen to be watching from the UK, Boots, the pharmacy Boots sells them, and also a lot of the little nutrition stores sell them. So if you go to a good food store, there's a chance that they will have the remedies. I've just told you how to use them. They're safe. You can put them in all your drinks, you can take them on your tongue, children can use them. The only contraindication, if you can call it that, is that it's made up in brandy. So if you do have an issue with alcohol, or someone that you want to give them to has an issue with alcohol and can't take any alcohol, you can buy glycerin-based remedies from the BACH Centre in England, and they will mail them out worldwide, so it's not an issue. But the alcohol, by the time you dilute it down into that brown bottle and then you dilute it in a drink, there's like negligible amounts of alcohol in that anyway. I'm glad. Hi everybody. Are they safe? Yes, they are very safe, apart from that contraindication that I just said about the alcohol. If it's someone who is an alcoholic and they're on anti-abuse drug, apparently even just a hint of alcohol can be enough. Or the psychological, there's alcohol in there, could be enough to help to fall off the wagon. There's a lot of mental processes go on with that. So, but no contraindications. Totally safe to use for if you're on drugs. To use them alongside drugs. If even people who are having chemotherapy, they have cancer, they have chemotherapy. I have unfortunately many friends who have gone through breast cancer, and some of them have chosen to use the remedies for support, and other ones use consultants who don't know about the remedies. I've told them blanketly, nothing, do not take anything, which I've always respected. So in those cases I've supported their families, with the emotions. And that's what you can do also, is that if the person themselves is a bit kind of wavering, I don't really want to interfere with my treatment, my Western medicine treatment, then you can support the families, because it's a great thing to be able to support the emotions of those around someone who's sick, as well as anything else. So they are safe. What's Rescue Remedy? Rescue Remedy is a combination of 5 of the remedies. Okay, so this again you can pick up in Whole Foods, you can buy it on Amazon, and it is wonderful for stressful situations, emergency situations, and I make up people's individual personal rescue remedies, if you like. And this is the only combination that Dr. BACH himself put together for emergencies, and I use it for everything. It's my first stop for anything emotional or physical, because it's got Star of Bethlehem in it, which is the healer. So that will heal on any level, spiritual, emotional or physical. So it's the first aid answer to everything in my house. The kids know if they burn themselves, if they hurt themselves, they start taking rescue remedies. So that is one of the things they will do. So this is a spray form. It's great for in your car, it's great for in your purse. It's great because you can do it one-handed, and when you have road rage, it has impatiens in it for patience, and it has cherry plum in it for that, oh my god, the pressure's too much, I'm just going to explode. So it's got rock rose in it for terror, and it's got clematis in it for grinding. So it is a marvellous, marvellous thing to make part of your holistic well-being toolkit. And as a parent, this is the first thing I tried years. Someone recommended this to me years before I knew there was 38 remedies, and I didn't even associate this with whatever I've done with the other ball he was here. So I didn't even know this and this were related. But when my kids were very small, a girl at work recommended that I buy some of this, and I didn't. I bought it and I used it. I didn't know whether it helped or whether I stopped yelling at them long enough, because I went and took it. By the time I came back, I was calm. So I didn't have that full kind of belief in it at that point. But it also comes in drop form. It comes in pastel form. So if you have kids, kids that are maybe really anxious about going to school, going anywhere for that matter, they get really terrified. One of these little pastels is a dose of rescue remedy, and they're just like a hard candy. So they can, take a couple with them to school, and if they're feeling that building pressure of everything feeling too much, they can just suck on one of them. I used to go around my kids, I used to go them into the teachers, so that was great. And it also comes in a cream form, and the cream has an added remedy called crabapple, which is for cleansing. So Dr. BACH didn't put this together, but his right-hand woman did. After Dr. BACH was gone, she added these 6 remedies to cream, because people kept asking, can you put it in cream, can you put it in cream? So she put it in cream. It has been marketed as yoga in a bottle in the past, and what I will say to you is that my next question is, can you use the remedies for physical health? No, the remedies are for emotional health, okay, they're for emotional balance, so they're for the fears, the worries, the tiredness, the indecision, they're for all those things. But when you look at some of the common ailments of today, things like asthma, eczema, high blood pressure, headaches, gut problems, a lot of them are linked to stress. Okay, and there's 292 million combinations of remedies that I can make up for people. So if they're stressed in any way, shape or form, I can combine some remedies and help them. So if you think of this green bottle as being a preventer for asthma, we're talking asthma. This is a blue inhaler for emergency situations, your emergency asthma attack. This is a preventer, so your green inhaler, which prevents you from having those asthma attacks. For me, and I have experience with children who have asthma, because they are anxious, they will have more asthmatic attacks. Okay, they will be really suffering. And one little girl in particular, she was using her emergency inhaler all the time, and she came to me because I was friends, and subsequently the both asthma nurse specialists at St Kitts in Edinburgh did the BACH level 1 with me. And they use the remedies for their asthmatic kids. They recommend them because they know the difference they can make. Because if an asthmatic child is having her asthmatic attacks because she is anxious, if you can balance out that anxiety so she's not feeling it anymore, she's not going to need that emergency inhaler. She'll still be on her preventer, but she'll not be having these emergency asthmatic attacks. And this one little girl in particular, she went from having so many to having none. And her mother was, well, she was delighted, but her mother was delighted. And in school, this little girl was able to get up on stage and talk about her anxiety in front of her school. And she won some money for the school, because she had the courage to do that, because we balanced out her anxiety. It's just a case of, like the scales are a wee bit tipped in the negative direction, and sometimes one mix or one remedy is enough to bring people back to balance, especially children, because they don't have all the baggage, all the layers that us adults would have. For me, I had 40, well not 40, because I probably didn't start the layers till I was 6, so 34 years of layers of armour that I built onto myself before I came to the remedies. So I have had over the years to go back through those layers and balance them so that I'm dealing with life better. So I've let go of guilt, I've let go of my indecision, I've let go of many things, built up my self-esteem. I'm not the worst mother on the planet anymore. I do my best, and I know that I do my best, and I always did, but I didn't know that. I couldn't feel that, so now I can. So I understand the time is moving on, and I've got 3 minutes until my time is up. Catherine, I'm really glad that you fed back on the mixes and that they're helping for homeschooling, and it's lovely to see you all here. I'm really glad that you came in to listen. And anybody who's reading the recording, I'm going to put my details in the comments. You don't have to get in touch with me, but if you have a question or two, I'm quite happy to answer them. If it looks like becoming a full consultation, then I might have to set you up for a consultation with a fee, but I'm very happy to answer a couple of questions to anybody who gets in touch. And I do have a couple of sheets for parents and teenagers, which if I can, I'll try and load the files onto the Parents Unite page so that you can have them. And I think I have one somewhere for children. It's a very brief one about starting back at school, which might be quite helpful, because both parents and children, when this, this is ongoing, so we're all having our emotional things to deal with in different ways. We all deal with things differently, and that's the thing about the remedies. They're no one remedy fits all. There's 38, and there's 38 to combine, and there's 293 combinations. So I thank you with all my heart for listening, and I really hope you'll investigate them. Google BACH Flower Remedies. Look, this says spell, but I will be putting it online. BACH Flower Remedies. Love to you all. Have a lovely Sunday. Thank you.